the determinants of aggregate supply include a change in input prices, a change in productivity, and a change in the business environment. Overall, if the determinant increases production costs, that would lead to a decrease in aggregate supply. If the determinant decreases production costs, that would lead to an increase in aggregate supply. As we know, when aggregate supply increases, the aggregate supply curve moves to the right, as I've just indicated on the example graph. When aggregate supply decreases, the aggregate supply curve moves to the left, as I've just indicated on the graph in the upper left corner. Let's look at circumstances that would increase aggregate supply. If the cost of an input, let's say electricity, would decrease, aggregate supply would increase because this input cost would decrease. If new high-speed railway lines were installed in the United States, this would change productivity. This would increase aggregate supply. The elimination of business taxes and government regulations, or the introduction of subsidies, would be changes in the business environment that would increase aggregate supply. Circumstances that would decrease aggregate supply include factors that would limit the amount of raw materials or inputs in production. A drought would be an example of a factor that would affect inputs and would cause the aggregate supply curve to move to the left because of the decrease in the availability of raw materials. The increase of business taxes and government regulations, or the elimination of subsidies, would also lead to a decrease in supply. These are examples of business environment determinants.